Hello and welcome to Digital Publishing 1. My name is Myra Ship and I will be your professor the rest of the semester. I want to begin by talking about our first project, which is an editorial layout. You can do this editorial layout on any topic that you would like, but what I do want you to start thinking about is a topic about your magazine that we are going to be designing the rest of the semester. So you can choose any topic that you want. It could be anywhere from travel to fashion, fitness, something business or corporate. You can even choose a hobby, something like photography, race car. I had a student once base it on skateboarding. And I have a lot of students also ask me about gaming, which is fine. I mean, gaming is a profession, and I find it amazing how great of an industry it has become. So, of course, you can do it on gaming. The main point of this class is that you learn how to use InDesign. So you can choose just about anything as long as you keep it professional. I don't want you to choose something that's gory or, things like that. I want you to keep it professional, something that you would be proud to show a future employer, something that you're proud to have in your portfolio because this is going to be a very good piece to have and to show someone. And even better is when you print it out and everything just looks great. So I really want you to think about that, about what topic you want to choose. So that's why I want to start off with this project. So you have some time still to think about it. Or if you have any questions, reach out to me and I can guide you. But it's pretty much open to anything as long as, like I said, keep it professional. Okay. Um, so choosing the right program is very important. So if you were to design a logo, you would choose something like Illustrator. If you're manipulating photos, of course, you use Photoshop. But when you're designing a book, a magazine, a newsletter, an annual report, you want to use InDesign. So it's multiple pages and it's very text heavy. So that's what we use InDesign for. And that's what we're going to be learning in this semester. We are going to we're going to keep on adding to our file. So we're going to start a file today. It's very important that you have a folder and you have your original file, which is your InDesign file, and you have a file with your photos. So InDesign works a little bit like a website because it wants to link to the photos folder. So it's important that you have a folder where you keep all your photos because it's going to ask you when you're ready to print, hey, I'm missing some links, and it wants to link to those high resolution photos. And if you don't have them where you originally uploaded it, then if your photos are everywhere, then you might have some problems exporting or saving your file. So it's important that you stay organized with that. Um, I I was having a lot of problems with printing in the very beginning when I went into the work field. I was making a lot of mistakes. So that's why I stopped what I was doing and I got a job at a print shop. So I wanted to work for a magazine. I really love sometimes the layouts and it's just so trendy looking and I interviewed for a lot of magazines, but I didn't get the job because I didn't understand how the whole process worked. And I was making a lot of mistakes in the beginning. But we're going to get into all of that once I start the file and I will walk you through some of those things. But right now, let's start off by, let's see. by showing you some samples of what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is an editorial. We're just going to do one page today, okay? And one thing that I like about this layout is how bold the the title is. So don't be scared to use um, boldness and make things heavy and you know, you are the designer, so you guide the reader where you want to go. This has a good hierarchy of information. Okay. And then let me see. This layout here I really like because the the title doesn't always have to be at the top. Don't think of designing as if it's a Word document. I know that sometimes we are ingrained a certain way to think, and sometimes we've just been designing things in programs like Microsoft Word, and we think the title always has to be at the top. So I just want you to start thinking outside of the box and placing things where you normally would not place them. So I really like that. And just because it's in at the bottom or just because it's in the middle doesn't mean that you don't know that it's the title because of the of of how big and bold this is. This lets you know that that's the title. So I just want you to be thinking about something like that, okay? Um, and then you can also uh, you know, explore things with different fonts. Sometimes the fonts is what you know ties the images together, and so picking out the right fonts is going to be important as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start our file. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is pick out a topic. In this case, I'm going to choose coffee because I love coffee so much. But you can choose anything you want. And I like to go to this website called Pexels because it has free photo stock. And so you want to make sure that you're not using photos that are um, copywritten or just grabbing any photo on the internet. Even though this is going to be just a student project, you just want to make sure that that you're not using somebody else's photography without their knowledge. So I'm going to look for coffee. And in my case, I'm going to take up the whole screen. So I want to choose a photo that has a lot of negative space so I can put my content in. So a lot of photographers keep that in mind. They choose photos that are going to allow for you to add you know, your title in your content. So keep that in mind if you're going to go that route. Okay, you can always, you know, put it in a box and arrange it however you want. But if you're going to do that, then that's you have to be mindful of the photo that you choose, because I do get students, let's say they choose something like this and the text doesn't, if you put tiny text over it and there's a lot of texture in the background like this photo, it's going to be hard to read. So I will choose something like this. You can click download and you can see the different sizes that you have. But I like to use the right click on the right hand, um, right click, I mean, and save it, save image as, because it allows me to save it where I need it to go. And so I want to go to a folder and create a new folder where all of my images are going to be, because at the end you're going to have images everywhere in the downloaded folder, and moving them around is going to create broken links. And InDesign works kind of like a website where it's going to look for the original photo, and if you moved it around, it's going to say the link is broken. So it's best to just put your images all in one place. Trust me. Okay, so you hit save, and then we go to InDesign. Now, the first thing you want to do is click on New File and make sure you're on Print. And for some reason, it always goes to a default picas or sometimes points. You want to make sure you're on inches, because that is just the standard in the US, how we measure. So you also want to be sure that you make sure that this is checked off, facing pages, because we're going to keep on adding to the file. And eventually 2 pages that face each other is a spread. And you want to make sure that you click that. If not, it's going to be single pages and it's going to be confusing. How do you get it back to that way? And so this just making sure that everything is done correctly in the beginning kind of saves you all this headache later trying to figure it out how to go back. The next thing you need to make sure is your margin. It should be at least 0.25, a quarter of an inch. Your margin is your safe area. This is where you want to keep all your text and your images within this safe area. Doesn't mean it can't be without, like your images can go beyond. But you want to keep your text in this area. I get a lot of students who want to put their text all the way to the edge of the paper, and it's going to get cut off. So this is what the margin is there to tell you. The bleed, we want to make sure that it's 1.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. The bleed is to indicate how far out of your page you can go, that it's safe. So when the cutter comes, it cuts that part off. So you don't have any white space in your final document. If you don't get it coming out of the canvas, extending it out, then you risk of getting a little bit of white in the edge of your paper. I know it's hard to understand, honestly, like to explain it. That's why I had to work at a print shop and understand it better, because I am a visual person. I need to see it for myself. Like, explain to me how this works. And that's just how I work, how I learn. So people just had to create that for me. They had to show me examples. I'm going to always remind you if I see that, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so then you click on create. Okay, so then the margin is this pinkish line. That means that you want to make sure that your text doesn't go beyond that. If it's outside of that area, it means it's too close to the edge of the paper. And then your bleed is out here, that red mark right there. That means that if you have an image, you would be inclined to make it look like that, when in fact it needs to bleed out, it needs to be extended out into the bleed area. That way, when the cutter comes to cut, it's going to cut off right here, and it's going to have a nice a little bit of margin of error, and that bleed allows that. Okay. I hope that is easy to understand. If not, then again, I will continue to let you know how that works. Okay. So to start off, we want to add the photo I just downloaded. And I'm clicking and dragging all around the bleed area because that's where I know that it needs to extend out to that area at least for this to work when it comes to the final product. A shortcut is Control D. So we go to where we saved our image in our image folder and open. Okay, now the image is really big. So a shortcut is Control. You have to hold down all these keys at the same time. I know it's crazy. Control, Alt, Shift, and E. Isn't that crazy? Yes. Okay, so Control minus to make it a little bit smaller. I still want it to, I'm going to make the box extend all the way, I mean, kind of make it snug, whoop, to the image. Okay, so we got the box like that. If I move the box within the box, then I'm cropping it. Okay, so you got to make sure that you don't do that. And then you can proportionately make it bigger by holding down Control Shift and clicking and dragging the corner. Had to be this diagonal arrow, and click and drag the corner, and that way you can get it to extend out proportionately. One mistake that I see a lot of students make is that their images look too narrow, or people might, especially if you're using figures, they might look warped, too elongated or fat. So you got to make sure you keep the proportions correct. Okay, so I'm going to crop it. Now, Control plus to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in some of the text. So I just Googled, is coffee good for you? And I went to this 9 reasons why. And we're not going to do all 9 reasons. We're just going to do the first 5 just because it's a 1-pager and there's not enough space for all of that. So Control C for the title. And then we get the text box and we extend the text box. Control V. Now the text comes out dark by default. Let's see, let's move me out of the way. Okay, over here. Let's choose, no, wait, first let's change the color of the text because I can't see it. So I like to use swatches. If you don't see that window, go to Windows and Color and Swatches, okay? So make sure you have the T, because the T is the text fill. So right now it's black, so I just gonna choose white. Okay. And now that I can see it better, I'm going to choose I'm gonna mess with the font. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna use Gilson's, and I'm gonna make the text 36. That looks fine. Okay, now like this would look okay. And I'm gonna put it at the bottom because I want to do something different. I think I get so tired of seeing titles at the top where you would normally expect it. And I don't want you to think of this as a Word document or something that, you could use. Uh, I just want you to think outside the box a little bit. So I'm going to put the title at the bottom just because we want to do something different. Okay. And I want coffee to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to take that out, Control X, and I'm going to put it on its own box. Okay. Now I want to give this, give this some space so I can have coffee. All right. So I want coffee to stand out. So I'm going to choose a different font. I'm going to choose this font that I downloaded from this website called the font. These are free fonts and you can download them and put them in your fonts folder in your computer. Okay, they have all kinds of different like script, basic, just fancy types, whatever you need. Just don't go font crazy because I have some students that put like 5 different fonts and it just doesn't look right. You shouldn't. You could have so many fonts within one font family that you don't need to use so many different fonts, or maybe 2 is fine, but going overboard is not good. So I like to make the text box small, and then I do the same thing I do with the images. I hold down Shift and Control, and then click and drag. I think I need to get closer so I can see it better. Ah! Okay, so Shift and Control just gives me better control of what I'm doing, of my boxes. Okay, so I would like some of that color in the coffee. So I highlight my coffee word, and with the eyedropper, I can actually get some of that the color there. Okay. So a good way to preview, you hit Shift W, and now it's kind of coming to life. So I think I would like this a little bit smaller. That way coffee stands out even more. So I'll go to, let's see, 36. Let's try 30. Yeah, let's do 30. And then let's make coffee a little bit bigger. That way. Okay. All right, let's do Shift W. It's looking a little bit better. Maybe a little bit more space. Let's see. If you want to play with the space of the leading, it's right here. Okay, there we go. The space between the lines is the leading. Okay. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So I think it's good to, when you're dealing with a title, to make something stand out a little bit. you know, just to type it out is not enough. I think that doesn't give it enough design quality. We have to try different things. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back to the article. Like I said, you you just get these articles just for the sake of the project. We don't want to take somebody's content and call it ours. This is just for the sake of the project. Okay, so I'm gonna get this, copy that, and I'm gonna use that kind of like a heading up here. Now, obviously this needs to get bigger, and again, we need to make it white. White, and then we were choosing the character that I was already using is what was it? Gilson's. And I think it could go a little bit bigger. All right. When you use something going across the whole page, it needs to be bigger. If not, if you have small content, you really do need to use columns. Okay, so now we get into the content. So we're going to we're just going to do 5, which reminds me that we need to change 9 to 5. Okay. All right. So we're going to copy and paste our content. Okay, like I said, I get a lot of students who will give me a page like this, and it's not inviting, honestly, to just design something. And again, don't treat this like a Word document. We are here to refine it and make it look better. So when you have small text, most of the time, I think almost all of the time, you need at least 2 or 3 columns. Okay, so we're going to do 2 columns. Okay. So what you do is you create another text box right next to it, and you highlight the first text box, and you see there's a little red plus right there. That's indicating that there's more text in that box. So you click on it, it allows you to put the rest of it in that other box. Okay. So if I click in there and do Control A, it's going to copy the content within all those boxes that are linked. So I'm using, again, Gilson's, and I want to make it white so it stands out a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's see, Shift W. All right, it's getting there. Okay, so I would like to make these subtitles stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to pick out a soft brown from the color, and I'm going to also make it maybe like 14. And let's go ahead and also make it bold. Okay. So now we have a little bit of a style. Okay, we start to style it. Okay, another thing I've noticed is we got too many of these hyphens. I think it really breaks up the reading of it. So under paragraph, All right, it looks like I have to highlight the text, not the boxes. Okay, click off hyphenate. I don't know why that's it shouldn't hyphenate. Like that should be the default is not to hyphenate, but okay, that's how they made it. Okay, so now that what I wanted to show you is that now that we have this subtitle style the way we want to, you go to character styles, which you can find under type. You can find a character and paragraph window, but also your character and paragraph styles. You have character styles and you hit the wrong one. And you hit the plus sign. All right, that created a character style. I would name it just because I know that I'm gonna be adding more styles to my magazine. So I'm gonna name this coffee titles. And here it's telling me the font that I'm using, it's bold, the size, and the color. Okay, so now that I have that, I know it's a little bit of work in the front end, not even that much to be honest with you, but it's very important to name it because trust me, if you're working on a big document, it gets busy. Okay, now that I have that, I can add the coffee paragraph and and do all of the subtitles. Make sure you just highlight the subtitles. Okay, I lost some text. And okay, so I like to keep all of my text together that, for instance, this stuff needs to be together. Okay, there we go. Okay. Highlight the two and you can say, where is the alignment? All right, we're gonna worry about that later. It should have come up, but anyway. Let's push these up a little bit. All right, let's see, Shift W. All right, that's looking a little bit better. But we're going to add some little bullets to make it look nicer. Okay, so Shift, oh yeah, when you click and hold down, you can see other shapes. So they have just 3 different shapes, but anyway. Shift and drag, click and drag. And I want to create a different color. Okay, so another thing is that if you like that color, like I want to use that color again, you go to swatches and click on the plus sign and you get that. And you could name it too if you want to, but I'm not going to do that right now. So that way you can use that same color again in other parts. So you go to swatches and you click on that color you just made. And then I'm going to put 1 here. And since I'm using Gilson's, I'm going to put, was it Gil? Okay. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it centered. And let's put it over the circle. All right, now let's group it. Let's put it here. Alt, click and drag, makes a copy. Alt, click and drag. And now you can go back and select the text. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, Shift W. All right, that's looking a lot better. So the important part now is to save it correctly. So you're going to go to File and Export. And let's put it, just, you have to be so organized, honestly, guys and gals. Let's name this Coffee Editorial. And make sure that it's Adobe Print. Interactive is if you have buttons and you're going to make it interactive, but for print, that's what we do. Save. All right, so here, this is important. If you're going to print it, like it's your final, you want to make sure it's high quality. Okay, but because you have to upload to the online, sometimes your files can get a little bit large to upload. So then you can choose press quality. And in general, you can say all pages when you're ready to export, but you're going to see that as you save your pages, you have to be conscious of what you're exporting. So right now, because we only have one page, we can say page 1. But once we start adding, this is where you're going to say, from page 2 dash to, let's say 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1-3. You're going to export 1 to 3. So you don't export everything, because that's what we make mistakes doing, is exporting everything. You got to make sure that you don't export everything, just the one. But because this is only one, this is where we export. Another thing is marks and bleeds. You put the crop marks because we're using the bleed. So this is going to tell the printer where to cut. Okay. And use document bleeds. That's what we used, 0.125, and then we hit export. Okay. Now let's go to open it. And this is what it should look like. Okay. This is what you upload to D2L. Okay. So if you have any other questions, just make sure you reach out and let me know. All right. Take care. Bye.